Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians cast. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with David. What's up, David?
Hi there, everybody. And
All right.
hello to everybody watching. Thank you for watching the last video, and thank you for the Whovians for not down from in the video.
I'm sure they probably did. But what's up, James?
Hello, everyone. Yep, the trolls are always disliking. That's not much we can do about that.
Yeah. All right. So I didn't get your review, David, of the last episode, Pyramid at the End of the World, or as I said, Boring at the End of the World. So, yeah, I didn't like it. So what did you think of it?
Well, here's the thing. I thought, from a purely location filming point of view, it was absolutely gorgeous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And there was the dwarf scientist.
Right.
I didn't mind that too much.
Okay.
And I like the way the storylines sort of interlocked with each other. There's like one or two storylines which are, well, they're singular, but they also sort of intertwined.
Right. Well, it's a three-parter. We got the last part in a matter of hours for you guys.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole point. This is like the Keeper of Traken, essentially. And the whole final few stories of, the Fourth Doctor, like I said before, only this time the monks are like, it's like in Buffy, sort of a whole sort of season of the same villain.
Right.
The big sort of bad wolf, as it were. I mean, that's where Bad Wolf came from, really. This idea that you got a sort of threat that starts to sort of, in the first few episodes, is sort of under the radar, but by the halfway season is sort of becoming more and more a threat to the heroes, or him or her, whatever. Yeah. But I liked it. I thought it was interesting. This would have suited John Pertwee. You can imagine John Pertwee sort of running around, sort of, telling you sort of wear something a bit more comfortable, dear, or something. And you're telling the fucking brigadier off that. The brigadier will be standing around, sort of twiddling his thumbs, because that's what a man should do.
Oh, Jesus. But, what do you have to say, James? Anything?
On the last episode, .2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with Aston. It was quite a beautiful episode, with sets and stuff, and also location filming. I especially liked the whole scene. I like political. I'm very political, so any political reference will get me chuckling. And it wasn't. I mean, politically, it wasn't very realistic, but in our current climate, I don't think.
I don't think you'd be giving all the secrets of the planet put it on Google for everybody to see.
But then again,
that was weird.
Then again, in our world, the Doctor doesn't exist, so it's science fiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
But personally, I thought it was probably the most boring episode of the season. It is complete setup, and it completely relies on tonight's episode being good. So if tonight's episode is bad, it makes last week's episode even worse for me. And there have been some pre-reviews, non-spoilers, but say it's pretty poor, this episode today.
No.
And that's where the genius of the Whovian community, better known as That's the Way It Goes, 9, that's me. It's nice to be on the show with you again, Mr. James. How do you pronounce your name?
Spivey. Very few people can pronounce it. Spivey.
Ancient Gallifreyan. I see.
So think of spy and B.
Have you been using the chameleon arc? I think you're actually a secret Time Lord. Doesn't know he's actually a Time Lord, which means you can't actually tell me
as long as anyone, but mostly in comment sections. I've been watching every community. You've been in it for ages, and obviously Joe here's been in it for ages. I'd say I'm looking forward to tonight. I don't really judge episodes from pre-reviews. I'll judge it myself.
Yeah.
Because most people I know hated Oxygen, but I loved Oxygen.
I liked Oxygen too, but
I think overall this season has been a bit of a revelation. I think in style. I mean, seriously, it felt so fresh, and like I said to Joe the other week, and I say this to any Whovian fans, whether they hate my guts or not, but I generally, that's what you want. You want the big thing about Doctor Who, ever since the beginning, it's always changed. The style has changed for the last 3 years. I mean,
Yeah.
first you had sort of educational stories, and then you had Patrick Troughton and science fiction sort of twist. Then you had John Pertwee, and you had the sort of Liz Shaw, who was the first real feminist sort of character, but a little bit too feminist apparently.
Yeah.
But and then you had sort of mid sort of 70s, which were like a sort of harking back to the classic Gothic horror, and then you had the 80s where they were kind of limited by the budget, but they wanted to bring back the old science. And then you had the sort of violent Colin Bacon, then you had Sylvester McCoy sort of bringing back a bit of... You notice how I'm sort of going through this almost on tangent.
Yeah.
And then you had Paul McGann. Oh boy, what a fucking good Doctor. And that's the thing. Doctor Who, out of all the science fiction I've ever watched, it's not a case of being man, woman, gay, straight, whatever. It is so fucking versatile,
right,
for both the viewer and the writers.
I mean, now just imagine
Yeah.
them spending the money to go to Spain, like they did in Smile, where that building is real, all that stuff, those locations, going to Australia. Imagine if they had the budget to do that with John Pertwee or somebody, and like have them interact.
Game of Thrones has an stupendous budget, and that shows.
Yeah, but I'm saying, imagine in the past them doing that type of visuals that would look like that, and they're going through the episode.
The show will never get a good budget whilst it's run by the BBC. It just will never happen. The BBC just does not have the funding. Right. Especially the way the funding model works. It would have to commercialise for the BBC to actually fund Doctor Who properly. I mean, I agree with David there. The only thing I'd say is when producers or any showrunner stays too long, i.e. John Nathan Turner or Moffat, it gets tiresome.
Oh, it's definitely.
John Nathan Turner stayed way too long. I mean, he got to... There's all these stories, There's all these stories, James, where he basically, oh God, John Nathan Turner said himself he got to a point where he was literally sort of trapped in Doctor Who. He couldn't get jobs anywhere else, because by the time Doctor Who ended, as it were, regardless of how you want to say it actually ended, cancelled, hiatus, blah, blah, blah.
Right, it was cancelled. Yeah. Whatever.
It was canned.
It was cancelled. No, don't give anybody a trophy. Don't, make it light. It got canceled.
But yeah, essentially, he got to the point where, the show was disliked for whatever reason in the BBC department, and John Nathan Turner, he couldn't get any jobs out, so he's sort of fucked. I mean, he look at the facts, and with all due respect to him, he had to sort of spend the rest of his life doing Doctor Who videos, which were good, but I think it's the simple truth is about Doctor Who, unfortunately, is that once you're Doctor Who, Doctor, companion, that's all you're going to be remembered as,
Right.
It's a cruel irony. It's like
with the exception of some people getting out of the mold now with that, like Karen Gillan's and Guardians of the Galaxy and everything. So they know her from different things. You know what I'm saying? Off the Davos and Legends of Tomorrow.
The reason why that might be is because, no offense to her era of Doctor Who is incredibly not very memorable, because Moffat did the same thing.
I liked her era of Doctor Who, Karen Gillan.
Some people do, but I personally, the more Moffat stayed, the more I got bored of him. It especially shows in Capaldi's first and second season with Clara.
Right.
It shows the writing style is exactly the same every season, and it gets boring. The reason why Doctor Who is so successful is because they change. They always change the writers.
And it's time to change again.
Yeah. However, this season feels like it's not even Moffat running it, with the exception of this 3-part we've got right now.
I don't know who's running it this season.
How do you mean, James? In what sense?
It just feels more different. You've got a male companion who isn't a boyfriend of the female companion. Yes.
Well, wasn't the BBC? Didn't Matt Lucas contact the BBC and BBC said we are hiring Matt Lucas, so put him in the episodes? It wasn't like he had a choice. Like they didn't wanted it to be humorous, lighter. They wanted to change the tone. BBC.
I know that Moffat didn't initially want to do this season. He wanted to be gone by now, and that kind of. It feels like it's not really a full-on story arc in, the first few episodes, even though you got the vault and stuff. It just feels
it was detached. It was detached from each other, kind of.
I just like it. Just feels different. It definitely feels like Capaldi is more the Doctor. He's been given free rein to do what he wants, and he's less restrained from the last two seasons. The problem with that is because he had a companion from a previous Doctor. Doctors don't typically do well when they have previous companions, excluding maybe Patrick Troughton. He did pretty well with
Sarah Jane did great with Tom Baker.
Yeah, she did. However,
that's more of a personality thing, though, isn't it? Really, I mean, I think James is right. Really, it's sort of it's almost like baggage type thing. It's like Perry was almost like an afterthought.
I don't agree with that, James, because I think that Tegan and Adric and Nyssa worked better with Peter Davison.
Yeah, but to be fair,
and Perry worked better than with Colin Baker.
I'll tell you something really interesting, right? In my local Iceland store, there's a girl called, I'm not going to kid you here, try and forget your drinks out, everybody. Her name is, guess what? Tegan. Spelled precisely, T-E-G.
Wow.
Yeah, she's called Tegan. And I said to her, you're named after a Doctor Who companion from the Fifth Doctor, and she had no clue what I was saying.
Well, you know what, getting back to what you guys were saying, do you think that Moffat now is worried about he may be stuck with Doctor Who? Because it seems to me that he wasn't expecting Sherlock to end now. And he really thought, I'm going to be doing Sherlock for years. And now that Doctor Who and Sherlock are going to be done for him, he is all of a sudden saying yes to Paternoster Gang series when he said no before. I mean, they gave him a check, and I guess, didn't cash it. But now BBC wants something that's a spin-off before Doctor Who so people don't lose the ratings. And now it seems to me like they're going to be filming that in November. Paternoster Gang rather than series 11.
I don't know who's making these bloody decisions.
Is this true? Is Jenny and Lady Vester actually going to
It's not officially confirmed yet because they're all talking in the background, but they did talk in the background about Class, and that did happen, and they do talk about, David Bradley's, first Doctor appearing in the Christmas special. That's happening, and they did talk about John Simmons. That's happening. So lately, it looks like a good.
This is why I feel like when Doctor Who's under the BBC in the 21st century, it's so restrained. If Netflix had Doctor Who, we'd have so many spin-offs. We'd probably have a Paul McGann series. And that would be great.
Oh.
Imagine that. Just make 3
a
episodes.
Paul McGann TV show would be the best fucking thing. Well, I'm going to say this I'm not going to. 1996, when you were not a sperm, but a kid.
I was 1.5, to be precise.
I have a member of the 1996.
I was like in my 20s.
Set the scene, right? I had been waiting for years since the end of the Soretta McCoy years, and then Doctor Who came back, a TV show, all the videos, all the hype, you name it.
I went crazy when I saw that.
And so I'm sitting there watching BBC television. I've got like a gigantic stack of bread, tomato ketchup and brown sauce sandwiches and whatever. And then the cues. It was on the planet Gallifrey, but my old nemesis, the Master, made a curious request, blah, blah, blah. And, fucking hell. But, I mean, it just baffled. I mean, you're right now, Netflix, it's American. I mean, America's beautiful. I mean, let's be honest here. They take everything. I mean, everything is done in a bigger sort of dimension. It's high
Imagine
definition.
if they had the budget to do Doctor Who, Netflix.
Yeah,
and I think Netflix, maybe even Amazon. The thing with these,
Doctor Who, he's got his TARDIS. He's on a mission to find his father, which is actually what Leonard Nimoy wanted to do.
I just mean the funding, yeah, but keep the same Doctor Who team, right? But give him more funding. Give him.
I wouldn't keep Moffat right now.
No, get rid of him. He's been
Well,
there. 4 to
They
5
would-
years.
They
I
would
wouldn't
push
keep the
Doctor
same
Who
team.
big time. They would push. Netflix would push Doctor Who. They would
Yes.
treat it with respect. They would knock it out like a not from my personal experience of an escort knocking me out. I mean, allegedly.
We'd get like 12 episodes a year, but it'd be every year guaranteed because it's
My
Netflix.
name of viewers is Dangerous Dave.
Wow. You learn something new every day on.
But it's true. I don't know. There's something. You're right, though, James. It's like the BBC are sort of timid. BBC broadcasters have so many great ideas. It's like, right, I was in Nottingham the other day, right? Have you ever heard of a show called The House of Elliot?
I've not actually.
No.
Well, I was sitting outside. I was sitting at a restaurant called Bill's. They've got several in England, right? And I've been watching this. This is like I wouldn't say it's a feminist show, but it's sort of it's like House of Elliot is about a couple of sisters called Bea and Evie Elliot, and they inherit a fashion house from their father. And it's not exactly feminist, but it is sort of female orientated, yeah. But anyway, I was sitting there having a few pints, and I noticed that this lady going in front of me was one of the cast members. And shut up! I'm trying to talk. And and I said, "Oh my God, you're so and so from the House of Elliot." And she said, "Oh well, that was 30 years ago." And I said, "Oh no, but that's I remember. That's the era that my grandmother, grew up in. Suffragettes, women's lib, and the Roaring Twenties and all that sort of thing. Before the First World War sort of took over and all that sort of thing." And I swear to God, if that or Doctor Who, like James said, was done by, I mean, it would be done. They would delve into it like they did with Westworld. They would sort of the end of Westworld. Fucking hell, that I was drunk out my skull, but holy shit, that knocked my bollocks off. I never saw that coming. I mean, that's the big thing with Netflix. they just like HBO. They don't play games,
right? The budget on Game of Thrones is unreal. Like with everything is perfect.
The reason for that is because they know they'll make their money back from the subscriptions from HBO Go, which is where they want to get their money. I'm such a fan that last year I didn't even want to wait to stream. I didn't want to wait 1 hour to get online Game of Thrones, so I actually VPN'd, subscribed to HBO Go from the US and watched it straight away. I was like, I want to watch it, and that's how good show it is.
I don't want to, blimey. You were so engrossed in their storylines and their product that you just wanted to see the next episode. Yeah, just like fucking episodes. They've got cliffhangers. Essentially, they've got cliffhangers. I mean, everything. The whole point of drama, surely, I would think, and I say this to the viewers, is biggest fucking element of anything. Film, movies, music. Keep the viewers, keep the fans, keep the people wanting more. Yes. And that's what Doctor Who used to do.
Yeah.
And that's why they should bring it back to cliffhangers. And that's why
it's not like that now. It's like, it ends on a weird, stupid thing, and it's like, I mean, how is this going to end? It's going to be like, reset button. Hey, let's go see the Ice Warriors. I mean, like, 6 months of hell they're going through. They're in slavery, imprisoned by the truth monks. That's going to be wiped.
They had free. This is what people who praise the last episode or two. What I'm trying to convey to them is they had 3 episodes ordered to have a free part, and they've wasted their opportunities. Extremis is actually quite good, and it has a good basis. The second episode should have been, we need to know more about the monks. I want to see what their spaceship's like. Show us some cool stuff. Instead, we're hanging around at a pyramid for like the whole episode, and he's like, you need to accept us. Like, what? This is bollocks.
On one hand, they don't kill anybody from like the ships and the missiles and everybody attacking them. They just place them there. But then they'll touch somebody and they'll turn them to like dust.
Oh, I mean,
that doesn't make any sense.
why the UN, for some reason, has the most stupidest people on the entire planet.
Right.
You know, like,
And how they could overturn a document that's from the whole earth, making him president of the world.
what was it, that American guy, the Chinese woman, and the Russian
Yeah.
guy? Like, oh yeah, you know what? We're not going to listen to the guy who saved us 1,000,000 times before. Let's go to
Right.
these guys.
Yeah.
You know, who want to kill us. They've just killed the guy who leads the UN in front of us. We're going to trust them.
That's a good point. I seem to recall, if I'm not wrong, there was when they got the doctor on Unit's thing, it would send the alarm bells going off or something. That's what they said in the first new series. You know, Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah, where was Unit? They weren't even around.
And the doctor is
the
doctor's a fucking time traveller. So
Right.
surely his sort of
Presence.
his sort of gingerbread crumbs, as it were, you know, Hansel and Gretel type thing, would have been sprinkled throughout history.
Right, they would have had a map and shown where he is. He was here, and yeah.
And that's the point of the fat bloke. That fat bloke in Rose.
That he was getting all the clippings.
I love that character.
Yeah. So logically, they would be. I mean, before there was this thing about, you know, the doctor's this thing that every race is scared the fucker out of.
Right.
Because he's gone. Because contrary to the classic series and the new series, well, not the so new series because it's technically the 11 years old fart series, but you got two different things. Essentially, in the old series, he was just a traveller who's, you know, righting wrongs like Sam Beck in Quantum Leap or whatever, you know?
Right.
Or Don Quixote. I am my Don Quixote, the Lord of La Mancha. My destiny calls and I call. And winds of fortune will carry me onward forever.
Yeah.
And then when you got into new series, you'd have this situation where he was treated, my dear fellow viewers, as something that was his legend had preceded him, which made sense because by that point in the real world, the Doctor Who as a show had become a legend.
Right.
But the problem is now they sort of forgot that. They had that whole Daleks thing where they sort of made the Daleks forget or something. You know, sort of.
I know. That was a wasted storyline too, because he wiped that too.
Reference next week.
John Sim.
Yeah, if he isn't, it's going to be. This is what I'm saying with plot holes. I don't want to be negative. I love the show, but I expect, because the show's been around for so long, I do expect a higher standard from Doctor Who,
right,
than other shows, because it's been around so long. Established writer, Moffat, whatever you think of him, he's a long-term writer for the show. He should know what he's doing by now. And I do expect these plot holes to not exist. So tonight's episode, when it's going to air soon, I expect them to explain how they copied the TARDIS and how they copied the Doctor and how they know everything about him. I want that to be explained. And it needs to be explained really well.
Is it a thing that maybe they tapped into his, like when he was sleeping, his brain and just put him in, like they were saying, sort of a dream world where he is the video game character, but it's actually the Doctor, and then when he wakes up, only he remembers it because he recorded it, but nobody else does? I mean, is that a better explanation? Because to just say that there were video games and this is the way they are without knowing anything. They tried to say something like that.
I do have a bad feeling he's going to turn out to be in some facility at the end of the episode. He's going to wake up, and that's it. He's going to
wake up, hey, you want to go to Mars? Let's go check out these Ice Warrior things. Yeah.
I'm excited for the Ice Warrior thing.
Me too.
Next week. However, I'm a bit cautious with the Empress of Mars.
Female leader of the Ice Warriors. That's interesting.
There's nothing wrong with that, but I do like that they finally actually fixed the plot hole from Cold War. There was a plot hole. It was actually a Grand Marshal, the Ice Warrior, but you didn't have a Grand Marshal outfit, which you were supposed to. I
always got the impression with the Cybermen or the Ice Warriors, they were sort of asexual or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So they have changed it, so they do need to explain that, with the female one. But apart from the very first Ice Warriors episode, by the way, probably one of the weakest ones, the Ice Warrior, it's not my favourite. Seeds of Death is way better. But they established in Seeds of Death and in the Peladon stories that a leader and they also have a marshal look different, and they forgot about that in Cold War. So it looks like they fixed that now.
Yeah.
I hope we see a lot of Ice Warriors, though. I don't want to just see 1 or 2 again. I want to see the Ice Warriors. They're badass.
Yeah.
But they're also quite different. They have different factions. They explain that in the Peladon storylines, too.
Do you think that they made a female Ice Warrior because there's like a lot of influx of female villains lately in Doctor Who, like Missy and units run by females, and the Puddle Monster was a female,
we're in a social justice feminist era.
I mean, a lot of people on Doctor Who now, if you look at the pictures of the TARDIS every year, they have all these women in the TARDIS that work on Doctor Who. Like, it's like the whole thing. It's like a lot of women working on Doctor Who now. So it's like we got all these women villains, all these women scientists. So everybody in UNIT, all 3, the top positions,
Time for a male feminist rant. My name is David Aston. I am. That's okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action. My name is David Aston. I am also known as That's the Way It Goes 09. I was once called the Straight Edge Whovian. I am now going to be known as the Outlawed Feminist. Just like the Doctor, I shed my skin and become something new. I become regenerated. I can remember my first regeneration when I regenerated from an elderly woman who used to sort of do really badly in front of the camera and sort of get her lines completely wrong, if you know what that reference is to. Here's the thing. Right. Female characters. They try to pretend that female characters, strong female characters, are something new. It's not. Ripley, Sarah Connor. Modern feminism is full of a lot of really fucking stupid people who don't know anything about their own fucking what they're saying. But when it comes to women characters, as any actor, male or female, say, they love playing the villain because there's so much fucking scope. I mean, think about it. The Master has managed to get away from death every single time.
Right.
The Doctor technically has been sort of stuck in their male body while and what did the
but the Master only became a female to mess with him, though. That was the whole point. The shock value that
I loved it, Joe. That moment when she said, I couldn't possibly keep calling myself the Master, and the expression on Peter Goldie's face, it was like, and all the feminists and all the men's rights activists having a almighty bitch and moan about it.
I love that too, that she was the Master. I mean, that was great.
I like that she's the Master. I just think it was the most obvious thing. Everyone, when there was, the series was going on, was saying it's the Master. A few people said the Rani, but most people said it's the Master. My theory was a really unpopular one. Nobody liked my theory that it was Romana.
Oh, no, I don't like that, no.
And the reason why I gave that theory is because Romana left in E-Space. And the thing with E-Space is, it's a really lonely place, and you might go a bit crazy after a few thousand years.
But isn't the books canon where she's president of was president of Gallifrey at one point? Or is that not canon?
True. That is true. But sometimes I only think Doctor Who really based.
Big Finish actually had a story where the Sixth Doctor meets Romana, and she's actually president of Gallifrey. And
so that is
in
canon.
The audio series Gallifrey, and there's also many other sort of hints. They've actually regenerated Romana. They've actually created their own new Master. So anything's possible. But the whole point about Time Lords, oh dear, I hate for it, but the simple fact is, technically, from Gallifreyan point of view, from a purely species point of view, you see, timey-wimey, it's like a ball of, sorry. But basically, in a nutshell, names and even the concept of gender don't mean anything to Time Lords because it's literally almost like taking my shirt off and impressing all the ladies viewers.
They're a higher breed of consciousness.
And male viewers too.
They're a higher breed of consciousness. Like even Missy said, "What do you think? We're animals? Like we would just go do these things or whatever?" Yeah. So.
the only thing I'll say about next week's, the only thing that worries me is it's going to be short time again. It's only one episode, and I feel the Ice Warriors didn't have the justice last time. I would prefer if they had a two-part for the Ice Warriors, because they, it's quite a lot to explain for the viewers. And
maybe they could have them pop in the finale. I mean, I know the finale is overstuffed.
it's overstuffed already.
I know. And here's another thing. A rumor that the two-part finale leads into the Christmas special would make it a three-parter then, if that's the case.
Yeah, that's a good. I like that. That's good. I don't like the fact that for some. I mean, I can maybe potentially accept the fact that the current Cybermen are going to be in the finale. Why on earth are the parallel universe version ones there? Why?
I wish they would explain it that they're separate and there's a war, like a civil war with our Cybermen versus their Cybermen.
I can answer the question. Answer the question from my encyclopedia knowledge of the Time Lord Gallifrey, known as the Doctor, exile from Gallifrey. Now, if you remember, ladies and gentlemen, just 10 lines down, okay? Get close to your other significant half.
Mm-hmm.
Get romantic. Show respect to your ladies and your blokes. And, essentially, remember, in the second season when our Lord David Tennant, for he must be praised above all,
right.
There's a line that I found absolutely fascinating from the 10th Doctor, that the Cybermen that they were encountered weren't actually from our universe. So that suggests that the ones from the classic series are the original Cybermen.
Right.
So there's possibility, actually there's 3 types of Cybermen that we've encountered so far. There's the ones which are the big sort of
yes,
little helmet things, sort of hairdressers type
right,
stuff.
hair dryer or something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then there's
the 80s one. Right?
Then there's the Mondasian Cybermen, and then there's the what I like to refer to as the iPod on legs Cybermen. So I think. And if you're dealing with time travel and alternative reality, there's all sorts. The Doctor does not, let's get this straight. The Doctor does not travel just through time and space. He travels through time and space, relatives in alternative realities.
Right, he goes sideways in time, maybe, with the Merlin thing from Battlefield, they said. He goes to parallel universes sometimes, like Inferno.
Exactly.
And sometimes may not even know if he's in a parallel universe, as Matt Smith said in Curse of the Black Spot. There could be something.
Here's the act. The act of time travel means that every fucking single time that you go into, you will be automatically creating a new timeline. The act as you're a time traveler, right? You have a police box, you have a DeLorean, you have a the time machine from the classic TV from the classic movie type thing, you get out of your time machine. You've already, if you influence in any way whatsoever, like a clap of thunder, that old Arthur C. Clarke story where somebody goes back in time, he steps on a butterfly and he changes the entire political landscape or whatever, you will be creating an entire different timeline. So automatically there are several timelines because of your. So if I went back in time and sort of chatted up a really hot chick, and then went back in time and tried to offer a better drink, or a better hotel.
Well, couldn't it be? Let me throw this out there, right? Couldn't it be a situation because they said that when the Time War happened, a lot of people were trying to escape, run, leave the universe, do different things. You saw Time Lord leaving the universe and encountering House, where he killed them all outside that universe that they encountered with Doctor's wife. There was the Daleks that were searching through the void to try to go to another universe that they can get away from the Time War, the Cult of Skaro, all these people things. Would it be possible that the Cybermen wanted to continue their existence had somehow, like we send out the Voyager probes, that they somehow sent out a probe into another universe where this guy somehow, maybe it wasn't like a probe like we would think, somehow the ideas of the Cybermen went to this guy when he interfaced with something, and he thought, Lumic thought that he invented the Cybermen, just like the Victory of the Daleks, where the guy thought he created the Ironsides, and it was the Daleks, that was their way to continue in another universe. Their plans were put in motion because they weren't able to send a physical device, so it's like an email or something. They sent it to another universe through this electronic thing, and this guy created the Cybermen thinking that he created the Cybermen.
I personally think I've heard a lot of theories about the Masters causing the Cybermen all to meet each other. You know, if I was handling the finale and I would explain the two versions of Cybermen and the original Mondasian Cybermen. To be fair, the Mondasian Cybermen are still the same as the Iron Man ones. They're just a later version in the timeline. I would explain it by putting the parallel universe version. They're way weaker than the current Cybermen, so they can't win. So what they decide to do is somehow go back in time and destroy the original Cybermen, so they can win. So that would be how I'd explain, the Cybermen.
I wouldn't do that because the Daleks, if there was something that happened in history that would affect them directly, like Adelaide Brooks or whatever, they didn't want to kill her as a child because something with her has something to do with their future or their present or their past. Because technically the Doctor's from the future, I guess, and maybe the Daleks are from the future, but they're in the past.
But is he? Is he? If you're time traveling, you've been traveling as much as the Doctor.
Right.
Past, present, and future would become
meaningless.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
it wasn't him and Susan from the 40th.
You're like me in a pub. Eventually, all the amount of pints you've had would mean nothing. It would be just indistinguishable from water.
Wasn't they from like the 40th century or 45th century or some crap like that? And then technically, River Song was born in what, the 51st century or whatever, or something?
It was explained that Gallifrey is, it's viewing time itself. It's not really part of the timeline. It's kind of, if you would imagine, like Legends, anyone here watch Legends of Tomorrow with the Time Masters, where at the end of the timeline, they're not actually part of the timeline. I always thought
it's no fucking copyright there, then.
Time Masters,
This fucking awesome comic. There's an awesome fucking cartoon around the time of Bill and Ted, where the third Doctor's in a fucking Bill and Ted police box, police telephone type thing.
Yeah, that's a copy of Doctor Who, and that makes sequels.
He said, I'll be talking to my lawyers.
How much time we got left? I know we got a time. What's the time, James? Do you see it?
Yeah. I don't see it, but Doctor Who's about to start very soon. We should probably wrap this up.
All right, let's wrap this up. We'll come back whenever to talk about the new episode. Thank you, David. Thank you, James. Take care. Bye for now.